Hi, and welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, I want to discuss the fear of the unknown. Hello, and welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to discuss a little bit today about the fear of the unknown. It is such a primal thing that we all understand. We all have experienced it to some degree or another, and yet it's not something that we think about very often as far as how we can actively combat it, actively overcome the limitations that happen because of that fear of those unknowns. And certainly we have an understanding of this because, right, an entire movie industry has been created off of this one primal fear, right? The entire horror genre, the entire suspense and thriller genre of movies is based off of the fear of the unknown. It is something that is so deeply rooted in the core of each of our beings as, like I said, it's primal. Everyone has it, no matter what. There's not anyone out there that, despite all the circumstances of, what's around that corner or, is what's going to happen next, doesn't have some degree and some level of fear. And it doesn't have to be like full-on terror type fear, which is popular in the movies. That's what the basis of horror movies are, is that fear of that unknown. Is Jason around the corner? Is Freddy going to get me when I fall asleep? All those types of things turn into the actual terror and a breakdown of bodily function and causing you to trip when you run away when you're an otherwise, perfectly healthy, an adult human being, and capable of things like running. But as we get into this fear and the unknown, and specifically as we discuss it and think about it in the context of business and how we relate to each other, you as the leader, and how you relate to your people, to your teams, whether you have employees or not, to your vendors, to your clients, customers, all those things, there are unknowns that you will encounter. And those unknowns will cause varying degrees of fear. Minimum uncertainty, doubt, second guessing of yourself, and potentially full-on fear. Like right now, a lot of businesses, and certainly in our past through various cycles in our economy, people have gone through fear because of the unknown of our economy. What's happening with inflation, what's happening with the housing market, with financing, all types of different things. And there are these unknown factors of what the results of those external things are going to happen. And they're just because we're not all economists and we're not all plugged into, what the impact is of raising the price of a gallon of gas by $1, and how that impacts and trickles down and spreads throughout our economy, or just the increase of prices or the crashing of housing or the increase of housing, all those types of different things that are, pretty much out of our control and relatively unknown until they're happening, causes fear. And as we can expect, and we're not going to discuss this too much, but the results of that fear is a breakdown. It's a breakdown of decision making. It's a breakdown of being able to logically analyze a situation and apply the appropriate behavior in response to it. It moves you into pure emotion. Fear is an emotion, and that emotion, because it is such a strong one in us, just like love and hate, fear are some of the strongest emotions that we as humans can feel. It becomes all-consuming, right? It gets rid of empathy, it gets rid of sympathy, it gets rid of compassion, it gets rid of kindness. Fear has a propensity to just take over, and you react just out of pure fear. And again, varying degrees. I'm not necessarily talking about full-on terror and fight or flight type of mode, but I'm talking about maybe when you should be expanding, you start to withdraw because of that fear. Maybe when you should be hiring more people and pushing sales more, you fire or lay off some people because you're afraid of that payroll. Maybe instead of promoting that person, you decide to promote somebody else because of the way this unknown of how that reaction is going to happen when you promote that person or how they're going to perform. All those types of things tend to take over, and you start reacting emotionally instead of logically and with intent. Now, a lot of this, and if you think about ways and times where you've had this experience, this fear of the unknown, one of the top 3 things that people that causes them anxiety, i.e. fear, is, a new job, like starting a new job, because it's an unknown. You don't know what the people are going to be like. You don't know what, are they going to like me? You don't know what the hours, the commute, the salary, the long-term benefits, are you wasting your time? Is it setting you up for future success? All those things are just unknown about starting this new opportunity in the form of a job. And that can go along with school. We all had probably, I know I did, apprehension going into high school when I moved from middle school to high school, because it's a whole different group of kids. It's a whole different school, bigger, they're older kids, all that type of thing. And then same thing going to college, whatever trade school, if you're going into law school, there's fears and unknowns associated with that, as well as, just a community. Maybe you're moving across country to attend that school and you're joining a new community. There are all those unknowns that can cause that fear and anxiety in you. And it can cause you to make some poor decisions. But what the reality is, this unknown factor is really just because you haven't had a chance to experience success in that thing, whatever that unknown is. You haven't had a chance to get into it, take that time, learn those lessons, and have that success. Like, I'm not afraid anymore of riding a bicycle because I've had success doing it before. I'm not afraid anymore. I remember when I first got my motorcycle license, I was kind of scared of getting on this motorcycle because it's bigger and powerful, and you could legitimately get yourself killed in the wrong situation, right? And not even by your own fault of somebody running you over. But now that I've had an opportunity, I've learned, I've studied, I've practiced, I've seen different situations, I'm better prepared, and that fear doesn't control me anymore, right? I'm like not driving down the street just constantly, on guard and fearing for my life by any stretch, but it does create a little bit of healthy respect for the platform in that sense of the motorcycle. But as we're going through this, specifically with recognizing people will have this in your organization, especially as they're coming in new to your organization. So what our responsibility is as a leader to help alleviate that fear and help get our people that we're in charge of past that, beyond just yourself. Because there is a point where in yourself, when we're talking about ourselves at this point, there is a leap of faith. I am going to go to law school. I am going to move to that community. I am going to start this new job. I am going to hike up over this trail, not knowing what's on the other side, climb that summit, those types of things. That all those types of leaps of faith theoretically and usually are based on some sort of determination of experience and success based on somebody else's success, right? It's not necessarily yourself. I haven't climbed Mount Everest, but I know if I do these things, train this way, study these people that have done it, take the same trails that the successful people have done it before, hire the same porters, go the same time of the year, watch the weather reports, get all these same things and make these decisions, that the chances of being successful are pretty high, assuming you've got the mental fortitude and the physical fortitude in order to do that. But that alleviates that unknown. There'll probably absolutely still be fear despite that preparation, because it is an unknown. You've literally never been to the top of Mount Everest, and that just by nature, because of some of the bad things that happen to people in doing this journey, you have that fear of the unknown. And I want to encourage you to use that as a driving force to prepare. Use it as a driving force to acknowledge that fear and to acknowledge the potential shortcomings and blind spots and really analyze those, versus it turning into some sort of paralysis that causes inaction or wildly inappropriate action in that case. But how do we as leaders, as we're thinking about this fear of the unknown, that, again, one of the biggest fears and anxiety causing moves that people have is starting a new job. So if somebody's coming into your organization, how do you help them through that process? How do you help them take on new responsibility that may be unknown? Maybe opening a new store, right? They're moving to a new community and starting a new job as the store manager of a new location for you. Whatever that may be, and it's this combination of things happening. How do you as the leader get them through that? And really the simple answer is it's through training. It's through imparting your vision onto them, right? You're lending them your experience. You're letting them borrow your experience. No different than if you were the one that had climbed Mount Everest and you're teaching the next guy or gal that wants to do it. What did you do to be successful in doing that thing? And it goes through training. And this is certainly practical, right? Do they have the actual technical skills and abilities that they need to be successful? Are you removing that unknown of, I don't know how to swing a hammer, so I can't even build a house? So you start with that, right? All right, this is how you grip the hammer. This is where you have it. This is the right size of hammer to use for this application. All those things, you understand that point. But it's that basic training that needs to be answered first before anything else. Well, I guess you could make an argument that maybe the vision is first of imparting on them, like, hey, I want you to go be the store manager of our new location over here, and imparting that vision and that faith in them that they can do it. And then once they're kind of bought into that, they're leaning on your faith and your vision, you start giving them the skills of, okay, this is how you schedule your teammates. This is how you do ordering supplies, right? All the technical things of running that job or that aspect for them that is the unknown to them. And that could be causing them anxiety and potentially fear. And then moving on past that, once you've imparted that vision, you provide that training, is providing that oversight and a method for them knowing that you're there for them should they need your help. Because that's another part of the unknown factor is, hey, once I'm going on this trip, once I'm making this journey or doing this thing that's unknown to me, that's causing anxiety and fear, do I have the ability, do I have the resources to reach back, look back, and get the support I need if I run into something that you haven't trained me on or that you haven't taught me? Because again, that's an unknown. They're on this journey. They've accepted the journey. They're willing to do it despite their fear and the unknown, but they know that there will be further unknowns. There will be further encounters that you just can't anticipate. And by providing that support and that methodology of how they get help in those scenarios goes tremendously in alleviating those fears and doubts that they may be having as they go on this. So I wanted to encourage you, right, as you think about this, one, as people come into your world and into your sphere of influence, and as well, as you're going into new worlds and new spheres of external influence that are outside of your responsibility, how do you conquer that fear of the unknown to where it doesn't control you, but you can actually use it and be successful? And what are some unknowns that you've maybe encountered in your business career, in your school career, like things that I'm certainly not coming up with an all-comprehensive list. What are some ways that you as the leader have helped people through those unknowns? Leave it in the comment. Let us know. That would be something awesome for the rest of our listeners and viewers to kind of see and discuss. And, as we share these collective experiences and learn from one another, that just goes to lessen the unknowns out there, and we know who we can reach back to for help. And that is something certainly Liz and I are here for you guys to reach back and get help from us. That's what we do at Kale Houser Leadership, is help small business owners, gain that confidence to connect and inspire their teams. So be sure to check us out at kalehouser.com. Hey, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've had a fantastic week. I hope you're doing great things, that you're taking the lessons that I'm trying to impart here with this podcast to heart and really implementing them. And certainly, it's a process, right? There's no expectations like, oh, I've listened to, I think this is episode 84, all 84 of your episodes, and now I'm this phenomenal leader, right? Well, it's just not how it works. We didn't all, Rome wasn't built in a day. We didn't all become awesome leaders, overnight. It's a process that we're always constantly learning, and it really never ends. But I appreciate you spending your time with me and listening. Feedback is always welcome, so please let me know what you think. And we'll talk to you soon. Hey, no matter where you're at in the world, have a fantastic afternoon. Bye.